episode of Kiwi Talks. My guest today, man, I'm so honoured to have this guy on. He's born in the UK. He's a Nigerian rapper. Actually, one of my favourite rappers in New Zealand, to be honest, and I think he's really, really underrated. I'd like to welcome Unchained XL.
Yo, it's a pleasure to be here today.
Yo, thanks for coming on, man.
No worries.
Thanks for making the trip down, bro.
All good, man.
Yeah.
All good.
So walk me through all this, man, because a lot of people don't know this about you, but you used to be the front man in East of Eden, bro. Dude, man. I was trying to find some of because I only found out about it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I was trying to actually get rid of some of the evidence of that recently. So at the end of uni, well, actually, the story starts a bit earlier than that. In high school, I was really into rock and punk music. Yeah. Because the community, I guess I was involved with was mainly of European descent, and they were all into like Korn and Tool and all that kind of stuff. So I grew up with nu metal, and then into later in high school, I got into like punk and screamo and all that. Yeah. So going into uni, that was kind of like my main sort of musical context. And at the end of uni, sort of, I wanted to start a band in the vein of sort of Under Oath, Misery Signals, As Lay Dying, that kind of thing. Me and a couple of my friends, we just started recording and writing and stuff, and we put something out onto the internet, MySpace at the time. Yeah. I wasn't actually sure where it was going to go, but a lot of people were like, dude, this is sick. You should turn this actually into a band. So we started the mission of getting people together and just creating something. And we ended up playing around New Zealand, doing a few shows, opening for a few internationals, and it was a dope experience, man.
I was actually trying to find some of the stuff. I couldn't find it, dude. Yeah. I found one video of you like just full on screaming into the mic. I was like, yo.
Yeah, man.
This is mean.
No, there is like, I'm pretty sure the East of Eden TV YouTube channel is still around. It's got some of our live videos. Unfortunately, we never got around to doing a music video. Like, we were always on the cusp, but we never actually got there. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing.
But were you already doing like incorporating hip hop stuff into that?
Nah, so the whole hip hop journey happened in parallel. Yeah. It's funny because every time like the band would hang out, I'd always be the one who's like kicking freestyles and stuff, and we'd be like, "Oh, come around, Hugh's freestyling." So like hip hop was always a part of my sort of story and my journey. It was just not the main plug until after the kind of rock and metal thing sort of slowed down a little bit. But I loved hip hop from high school. Actually, when I started producing, I copped a pirated version of Fruity Loops 3 in high school.
I did the same, bro.
It was crazy, and I was making beats on that. Yeah, and I made my first song with a couple of my Nigerian buddies from New Zealand, and we put that out there. And luckily, I've managed to erase all evidence of that. But we were doing hip hop. Back then, it wasn't just at the front of what I was doing. Like, it was kind of always taking the back seat. Yeah. But when East of Eden sort of, like I said, came to an end, I thought, I do love hip hop, and it's something that will be easier on my voice, B, more palatable for my friends and family who wanted desperately to support my music but couldn't because the East of Eden stuff was just not their cup of tea. And also just it was a way for me to connect with my heritage and my identity and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you are of African descent, but you were born in the UK.
Yeah. So
whereabouts in the UK were you born?
Liverpool. I was born. So my parents are both Nigerians, and they went to the UK to do their postgraduate studies there. Right. They spent about a decade there and had me and my sister. Oh, okay. And moved to New Zealand when I was 18 months old. So I don't remember England from when I was an infant, obviously, but I've been back a couple of times. And I still identify as British in part. I think partly because like there was a bit of British culture in the home, obviously from the parents. Yeah. And also just having, not to get too deep too quickly, but there's also a phenomenon of not really feeling quite at home in New Zealand, obviously being at the time in the 90s when I was growing up as a Nigerian, there weren't many people that looked like me that identified with what I identify with. So I felt a little bit like an outsider there, but also when I'd visit Nigeria, I felt like an outcast as well because being light-skinned and not knowing the language and just, being brought up in the West. So England sort of was something in the middle kind of, which gave me an interesting sense of invisibility. The first time I went back to England as an adult, I remember walking in Oxford in London and not feeling like anyone was staring at me. It was weird. It was the first time I ever felt that. Like in New Zealand, I get stares. In Nigeria, I got tons of stares. In England, I was just walking and no one was looking. It was just like, yeah, he's just one of us. And that was a crazy feeling. That for some reason made the idea of being a UK citizen, which I still am technically, but it made that idea a little bit more attractive to me, because there's something about feeling at home somewhere, which makes you gravitate towards it. So yeah, it's a crazy
So do you think you would move to the UK at some point?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
That is the plan. I think my music will resonate with a lot of the people there in terms of their journey and their story. There are a lot of African migrants there, obviously.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that's what my music speaks to. So I think it would be a smart move to go there and sort of...
There's a lot more opportunities there too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the obvious plus as well.
A larger population.
Yeah,
about 60 million peoples.
Yeah.
So a lot more people to reach with your music.
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
Oh yeah. But when you've gone to the UK, how long have you usually spent there?
Anywhere between 2 weeks and a month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Last trip was...
So is that enough time to kind of ingrain yourself in the culture?
No, not at all. But I think it gives me an idea of whether it would be somewhere I'd like to spend a bit more time. So the benefit is, at the moment, I have a British passport, so it'll be real easy to move there.
Yeah.
So I don't have to 100% commit to England. I can pop in and out when I like, which is good. But I think I do have friends and family there as well. So the idea of at least establishing a bit of a base there and having a long-term plan to perhaps live there as an option is something that, I can embrace.
So would you wait until after Brexit?
To be honest, that doesn't really...
That doesn't bother you at all?
No, it doesn't bother me. I mean, if it happens, it happens really.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm British, I'm half British because my dad's British as well, so I can move to the UK if I wanted to.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just keeping an eye on Brexit and seeing what's happening and stuff. Cool, man. So when you've toured, what's some of the places you've toured?
So last year in 2018, I linked up with a band called Afro Cluster, and we started off in London. We went to Cardiff, Bristol and Leeds, and there was a show in Sheffield that was booked, but it ended up being cancelled. But it was good. We played those 4 dates, and I was supporting them. We linked up through Instagram. It was a funny story how we actually linked up, because when I was establishing myself as Unchained XL, it actually began as just Unchained. And at the time I was
Did you chuck the XL in because you're like, man, I'm so good?
I'll explain why. So I started off as just Unchained.
Yep.
And I was doing pretty generic sounding hip hop. There was nothing that really set me apart from what else was going on in the scene. And I kind of recognized that and felt that, okay, if I'm going to take this further, I need to be able to carve out a market for myself and establish myself in a way that, no one else has. So I thought, why not combine that necessity with the other necessity for me to connect more with my heritage and sort of dive more into my culture. So I explored the idea of combining some traditional African music.
Yeah.
Like Afrobeat. Not Afrobeats, the popular stuff you hear coming out of West Africa at the moment, but like sort of more high life inspired, funk inspired Afrobeats, obviously pioneered by Fela Kuti. That was the music I had in my household growing up.
Yeah.
And other high life artists. So I was like, why not try an interesting experiment of combining that with hip hop and see where it goes. So I did that, and when I sort of started making music in that vein, I thought, well, I wonder if there's anyone else doing this. So I Google searched like Afrobeat hip hop, and what did I find? I found Afro Cluster. They were the first people that came up. So I searched them up, and I found their Instagram, and I saw their lead vocalist. Now, there's a thing with black people, like you can, especially Africans, you can kind of tell where someone's from. So I had a look at him. He's like, he looks like he might be Nigerian. So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, is your vocalist Nigerian? And he comes back. He's like, yeah. So we linked up, and we formed a kind of kinship from that. And I floated the idea of going around there to play shows with them, and they were keen as on the idea. So that's how we made that link.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, bro. So, because you've said that you were just saying that you wanted to find your own niche and type of unique style. Because, dude, you've definitely succeeded on that front, man. Because honestly, like, as someone that used to rap myself, like, I appreciate lyricism and I appreciate a unique sound, and you have both, bro.
Thanks, bro.
So,
I appreciate it.
So, like, yeah, man, it's dope to hear, because the first time I heard you, actually, it was as one of our mutual friends, Kent. Oh, and he played me one of your jams. I think it was it was 2013 or 2014. He played me that walkout jam you did.
Oh, yeah.
When with the video that you did in the alley?
In 4th Street,
was that, what year was that? Was
2016.
2016. Yeah. And he's like, yo, check this guy out. He's dope. And I was like, yo, this guy's mean, man. And I've kept an eye on you since, bro. And then, like, it's cool that you're kind of finally blowing up, man, because I think you're so underrated, man, as an MC, man.
Thank you.
Like, your 64 bar verse.
Yeah.
I was like, my man.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. I hope you do get the actual call from Red Bull, man.
It'll be good, man. I'll be ready when it comes. Yeah.
So how did that originate? Were you just like, I'm just going to do this because no one else is doing it?
Yeah, like, I was like, obviously I did want the platform. It was something I was looking to get, but then I thought, why wait for the call up? I have the means to produce something that's high quality and to showcase my skills, so I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
And also, like, I like the whole having the lyrical captions at the bottom, if you notice that.
Yeah. I think that's really, really good. Yeah. Like, even if you don't have it within like a lyric video, you at least have it in like the comments on YouTube. Yeah.
Because, like, I pack a lot of every rapper does, but like I sort of pride myself in how much meaning I do pack into my lyrics.
Yeah.
And since I delve a lot into political subjects, like I don't want a lot of that stuff to get lost. So I do put my lyrics on the video, and that's something that the Red Bull videos don't have. So I was like, well, maybe it's best that I don't get the call up right now and I get a chance to put something out there like that.
Yeah.
But have those lyrics available for people to check out. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you do everything yourself, like the production, the writing, do you film? Like, obviously you can't film yourself.
Yeah, no. So I've got a friend, his name's Jeff. He's a musician himself, actually. He does a lot of awesome stuff. But he's been with me for a while. Actually, that clip Walkout, he filmed that one. And he's filmed a couple of my clips as well, just throughout the last couple of years. So he's my go-to when I don't have a huge budget and I need like a pretty decent video.
Well, he does a good job, man.
Yeah, he does a wicked job.
He made that look legit.
Really freaking good. But in terms of the production and stuff, like 95% I'll do myself. I'll call on people just to have some input in. Maybe on a song or two if I feel that like there's something else that someone else could bring. Recently I've been working with this dude from Papakura. Well, actually he's originally from Oklahoma. His name's KVP, Kevin Posey. He's a producer and a rapper as well. And so we've been putting out a couple songs together. It's been a bit of a collaborative experiment for me because I've been doing all this stuff myself up until very recently.
So more hands off and then
yeah.
Are you a control freak though?
I'm a micromanager.
I was the same.
I'm a micromanager, which is I inherited that from my blessed mother. But so that was an experiment for me to be able to sort of let go a little bit and come in. But it's really good because first of all, he's amazingly talented. Second of all, he was on the same wavelength as me in terms of like his,
that always helps.
Yeah, his outlook and his approach to music, and also just his aura and his vibe. So we kind of connected and resonated, and it was crazy the rate at which we produce songs. Like like we would just churn out a song in a day kind of thing, and it would be good. And I was like, well, I'd never done that before. Like it was crazy to experience. So after that, I was like, I'm a lot more open to collaborating now. But it has to be, again, it's like a relationship in a way. And you have to be careful with who you sort of share energy with, not to sound really spooky or anything. But
no. But I fully agree, man. I mean, if you hang around like bad people, it can corrupt good character.
It can.
So yeah, I totally agree, dude.
Yeah, and I think like it's important. Like creativity is something that you shouldn't force. It should flow freely.
Yeah.
And I kind of actually look at creativity as like a train that you catch, and you're just waiting at the station. And once the train approaches, you get on board and it goes. It's something you just receive and you just wait and it comes. Whereas like if you try and force it, if you try and sort of get where you need to be by yourself without sort of waiting for the creative train, it will never quite be as good and as smooth a journey as it could have been if you just waited. So that's what I view my creativity as. Like if I'm not in the space to write, I don't write. You know, I'm not like I need to get this song done. I'm like, you know what? There's something else I can do because I'm like fully independent at the moment. There's marketing to do, there's accounting to do, there's all this other stuff, there's PR to do. So there's all this other stuff that I can be taken care of. Yeah. I don't have to force creativity. I'll wait for it to come. If a song idea comes, I'm on it. Like it might be 2:00 in the morning, I might wake up to go for a piss and be like, oh, there's this melody. Like it's in my head right now. Like what am I going to do with it? I'll record that melody on my phone before I go to sleep.
Dude, that's exactly what I used to do.
Yeah, it's important, man. It's important because you'll forget that and you'll hate yourself for forgetting it. But in those moments, that's where the brilliance comes because it's not forced and it's arrived at the time.
Do you ever get writer's block or anything though?
Yeah, I mean like, man, lyrically, real bad.
Yeah.
So I've developed a few techniques to get around that in terms of like if there's something, and if I'm up against the wall and something's due the next day and I really need to get it done, like, I've got ways to get around it. But in general, once that happens, I just step off because I know like I'm learning to trust that I will make something brilliant. Like it will eventually come because it's very like, I mean, you know what writer's block is like. It makes you really question your ability.
Yes,
you're like, oh my God, am I even a rapper? Like, am I even good at this? Like, it really makes you question that. But I'm learning to like silence that voice and take a step back and be like, you know what? Every single time I've decided to make a song, I've come up with something I'm happy with. Why would that suddenly stop now?
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I get writer's block, I'm like, hey, I'm stepping out, I'll do something else. I'll come back and I will make something great. And that, just that process has been really, really valuable.
Are you competitive with yourself though, in terms of like, you might look at some of your older material and be like, oh, yo, man, this isn't as good as that? Or anything.
Like, I literally hate anything that's like 2 songs ago and before. I hate it. Like I can't stand it.
So you don't listen to your own stuff?
Not like just very recent stuff. I can't stand anyone who says walk out, I'm like, I can't stand it anymore. Like my band's like, bro, when are we playing walk out? Then I don't want to listen to walk out. I don't want to listen to my Foreign Legacy EP. I don't even listen to My Mind. Like that came out this year. I don't want to listen to that. It's stuff, it has a very, very quick expiry date for me. But I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It's just a thing.
No, I think I actually watched an interview where Dr. Dre said the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said that he doesn't listen to any of his stuff. And if like he has to perform on tour with like Eminem or something, he has to go back and relearn his lyrics because he doesn't remember them. Man, it's probably a common thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So how many instruments can you play? Because I think I saw you playing bass. Yeah,
so I play bass, I play drums. Drums was my first sort of instrument that I really, really invested into. Like my parents compelled me to play piano when I was 4 years old, and I played that classically up until 11.
Yeah.
So keys was my foundation, but then drums was like my first love. I played that in high school. I got into bass, I got into guitar. And then I did a bit of like auxiliary percussion in high school when I was in the concert band, so like marimba and all that kind of thing. I never really got into, regrettably, the woodwind, especially like brass, trumpet, and like sax. I'd love to be able to play it.
I heard, what was it, just earlier, I think a couple of weeks ago, your Wait on My Bars 4, and you had this wicked saxophone at the end,
that's Tabani Gaspara. He's a Zimbabwean. He's a Zimbabwean sax player.
Yeah. So did you make the beat and were just like, yo, man, this needs some sax on it?
Exactly. Well, actually, I didn't. When I made it, I was like, there needs to be something at the end. I'm not really sure. I think a friend of mine was like, bro, try a guitar solo. I'm like, there's a bit naff having a guitar solo. Maybe a sax solo would work. So I'll get my boy, Tabani to play on it, and he was dope. Actually, also Matt Bizzle, who's he's a sax player from Auckland City. He was on my track, Ino Day Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he played sax on that. So I've got a bit of a And also just having sax on my tracks is a bit of a throwback to Fela Kuti anyway, who was a sax player as well, among other things. So it's a bit, like it's iconic to have that kind of stuff.
Well, having saxophone solos,
yeah,
they're quite rare these days.
Yeah, you don't really have that.
Yeah, but like even your sound, man, like you just don't hear it these days. Like a lot of these rappers I hear nowadays, they just all sound the same. Like all sound the same. They're all doing the same thing. If it's not, G-funk, it's like trap.
Yeah, trap. Yeah,
so
it's real popular.
Yeah. So it's cool that you're doing your own thing, man.
Thanks.
And when Ryan was on, I was glad that he knew who you were because he's been in the game for a while.
Yeah.
Would you ever do like battle rap or anything?
Battle rap. Well, the issue with me is that like I keep all my stuff relatively clean. Well, actually, very clean and relatively positive.
Well, I know PFAC.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's like, in my opinion, the best battle rapper.
It can be done. It definitely can be
done.
Oh
yeah. There's like a lot of the dudes who battle rap now, like Christian, and they keep everything clean.
They can do it. Yeah. It can be done.
Yeah. And I think it sparks more creativity way because they don't have to rely.
Yeah. No, you're right.
On a negative word.
It definitely can be done. But I think the thing with me is that I don't know if. I
reckon you could do it. Bro.
I probably could, but I don't feel it within me to try and do that. Like dissing people. I'm not really interested in dissing other rappers. I'm kind of interested in dissing like political systems or whatever. Like
what if there was a political figure who was a rapper that wanted to battle you?
If they were very powerful and they had a lot of influence and they were involved.
Let's say like Simon Bridges or something.
And
he's like, yo, I want to battle you.
I'd probably more be inclined to it because I'm gonna be upfront. I'm not that good at thinking off the fly.
Freestyling, off the top of the dome.
Yeah, I have seasons.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I have seasons of that, right? One season I'll be like, I'm untouchable. Another season I'm like, bro, I cannot even rhyme tree with anything. Not so much that. Also, the thing with battle rappers is they have an amazing recall. Like I know a lot of battle rappers freestyle, but also a lot of it is just you've written this last night and you remember the verse. I can't do that, man.
Well, some people just have the photographic memory and they just write it. Yeah.
It's insane. I can't do that. I need a while to really soak in and memorize So that's another reason why the sort of battle circuit is when I'm like, yo, that's not my thing.
Well, if someone paid you, let's hypothetically, I mean, this might not happen or not, but let's say if someone's like, yo, man, I'll pay you 5 G's to battle. PFAC or something. Would you be like? Would you be open to it? Or
what kind of battle are we talking about? Are we talking about like a traditional
Yeah, well, let's say you had to battle PFAC or something.
Yeah, well, because I'm aware that there's like the battle as in like I release a track, you release a track, I release a track.
Yeah, well, there's that like battle on wax.
Yeah.
There's that side of it.
I'd be more inclined to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because like obviously I'd want to produce my track as well.
Yeah.
Because I think like the musicality would be all part of it. And then just to give me a bit more time to craft my words and stuff. Would be good. Whereas it's sort of a live battle where it's like we're just
you're
going.
Gonna feed off the crowd and everything, and if they're booing you, it can
man,
upset your game.
That's crazy. Yeah. Probably a bit too much pressure for me. I'd be interested in experimenting with it in a lower pressure
if you ever wanted to do it,
environment.
I know the dude who runs it. So,
right. Okay. Cool.
So I could tee it up for you, bro.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some of your stuff, man. I'm like, yo, man, this guy could probably beat most of the battle rappers out.
Yeah. You know what? Like, the crazy thing is, like, I might actually be good if I actually committed to it.
Well, that's the thing, and this is the thing I was talking to Ryan about because he used to do it, and he was saying that it requires so much time that he had to put music to the side because you're spending. He'd have to go to work and he'd be spinning his raps while he's at work, like trying to memorize his
memorize and just writing all the time. Like the dudes who do that don't flop. Like that when they have tournaments there, they're just going like there's just battle after battle and so much material you have to churn out, memorize, come off the fly. And I'm like, these guys are so good. Why don't I hear their music? And then I realized that a lot of them either don't have music or the music they do is kind of low quality because I'm like, they're obviously putting a lot of work into the battle.
One creative space.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, if these guys, like some battle rappers, I'm like, I swear, like a lot of recording rappers can't rap like that. You know what I mean? Like, they can't rap. So like these battle rappers, if they put out tracks, man, they'll be doing stuff. But they've chosen their path.
It's actually very hard to see people that do both, though.
Yeah.
Because usually, because people like say, oh, this person can do this, then they could do that. But it's two separate things, really. I think if you were to just, because I did a track with PFAC and he had to change his whole approach because he had to flow, it's all about flow, and you have to rap on beat with the kick and the snare. And so it's a whole different thing. So it's a different art.
Yeah. Because there is some
crossover.
A lot of the battling is I think Don't Flop battles are a cappella, so you don't have to worry too much about being your flow and your groove and all that kind of stuff. It's just punchlines and that kind of creativity, which is awesome. I think to be honest, I think there's a lot like those rappers can learn from each other if they really workshop. Like if recorded rappers really workshop battle rapping and battle rappers really workshop recorded rappers, like man, you could come up with something that's pretty crazy good.
Because there's so much bad material out there these days that I kind of wait for people to tell me like, yo, check this guy out, because I go on the radio and stuff and I'm just like, so generic. So who do you get inspired by? Who do you get motivated by?
So I don't know if you've heard of this dude. His name is Tobe Mwigwe. He's a Nigerian American rapper. He's also an Igbo, which is the same ethnicity as me. And he's been really coming up in. He's from Texas, I believe. Really coming up recently. I was following him back when he was just. He wasn't too big and just on Instagram doing his thing, and recently he's just really exploded because his whole approach, which is crazy. Absolutely inside. I don't know how he's done it. I'd love to have a chat with him and figure this out. But he did this thing called, I think he's still doing it, called Get Twisted Sundays, where every Sunday he'd drop a music video. For like, I'm pretty sure he did this for a year. He's got so much material out. He just every Sunday a new music video. And these music videos are high quality, man. Like they started off like okay, but now they are high quality. I'm like, how do you have that much material, that much music, that many verses, a team that just location scouts, people who have your costumes ready, or your cinematographers, or your like choreographers. Like every video is a high quality video. He's putting out every week. I'm like, how? And he's just done this, and his social media like following has just gone huge because he's just been in everyone's face, everyone's newsfeed, and he's an insane rapper. Like it's not just the fact that he's putting out material, but he's insane. Like
he must live and breathe it 24/7.
Oh, he is, bro. You listen to this guy. He's like got the flow of Big Boy and the content of Andre 3000. Like he's absolutely insane. Like I've not like he just did NPR Tiny Desks.
Yep.
I've not heard anyone on his level. Like legit, he's insane. So like that guy at the moment, like chief inspiration. Just like I have no desire to sound like him, but I just
would you holler at him and be like, yo man?
Oh dude, yeah. I mean, I just love how he reps his like he does it so smoothly, how he's unafraid to rep his Nigerian heritage.
Yeah.
And he like in an interview or something, or in between songs, he'll like bust out his Nigerian accent and stuff like that. And he will talk about like classic tropes about how Nigerian parents are. So he really connects with me on that level. But then he's very, very much a Black American in terms of his culture and how he rolls. And so I love his integration between his Western upbringing and his Nigerian culture. That's something I aspire to rather. So yeah, he's the chief inspiration. Another rapper called Manifest M. He's from Ghana. He's incredible too. I love him because he's got this whole high life Afrobeat sort of hip hop crossover as well. So musically, I'm inspired a lot by him, and I love how he's just unapologetically Ghanaian, unapologetically African. He's like existing in spaces where American rappers are, but he's not trying to be American. Yeah. So I love that about him. So I'd say those two at the moment. Yeah. Have
you been to Nigeria?
Yeah. I've been a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like the first time you went?
The first time I was very young. It was a big culture shock. And everyone was looking at me and laughing at me, so I didn't like it. But the second two times I was a bit older. So the second time I was at the end of high school. Yeah. Third time I was I'd been working for 2 years outside of uni. So I was an adult and it was a lot more enjoyable. Like my cousins were older, so they were like, I saw them more as my friends. And we went around the different cities and stuff. And it was just good, like connecting with where I was from, going to my village, eating the food and seeing the culture. Yeah.
So what's one of the biggest differences to say Nigeria compared to the UK or New Zealand?
Well, obviously compared to New Zealand, the population and like the demographics, like 99.9% of people you see typically in Nigeria are black people.
So when you said that people looked at you, is that because you were lighter skin?
So I get called Oyimbo or Onyocha, which are both Onyocha is the Igbo word for white person. Oyimbo is like it's the Yoruba word for white person, but it's more sort of widely used. So they'll say that.
So if I went with you to Nigeria at that time, would they have just forgot about you and been pointing at me?
Probably.
Or would they still be like, you guys are both
probably
white?
say. So like when I was there in, it would either have been 2007, which was the second time I went, or 2002 or 2001 was the first time. One of those times I forgot. There was like a German boy in the village, like blonde hair German, on the back of this motorcycle going past. And I think my uncle was like, or my cousin was like, see your brother. I'm like, really, bro? I'm light skinned, but I'm not that, man. What, my brother? Yeah. So, that was a kind of, but to be honest, it's come a long way. Like Nigeria is a lot more metropolitan now.
Yeah. What's the population?
Cosmopolitan, rather. I'm going to say it's 180 to 200 mil around there. Yeah. So it's quite a big. But yeah, it's a lot more like a lot more mixed demographics, and especially in the inner cities like Lagos and Abuja, they're used to white people. They're used to people of all different shades. It's just like whatever. You go there now, people are still in the villages, like people will have a bit of fun like looking at you and stuff, but yeah, it's like that everywhere.
Have you been to other parts of Africa or just Nigeria?
Nah, just Nigeria, regrettably. But I mean, there's still time. I'd love to go to Ghana. I'd love to visit Southern Africa. I think there's some beautiful countries there to have a look at. Kenya is a place I'd love to go to as well. Yeah.
So how do you when you decide that you're going to go on tour?
Yeah.
How do you decide where you're going to go on tour?
You say this like I'm a big touring artist.
But I'm just curious.
Honestly, I just tour at the moment, I just tour wherever I can organize, because like I'm independent. I don't have management, don't have a label. So I'm just like, wherever I can book a venue. But sort of looking forward, I guess I'm looking at wherever I can really establish a market. So I have been able to push my music in Nigeria a little bit.
That's cool.
And have people over there sort of know who I am. So I think going there, maybe not necessarily hitting a tour straight away, but definitely going there on a music trip and just networking a bit and putting my music out there more and seeing what's going on there will be of benefit to me. So maybe I can come back another time and, play a couple shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm open to touring most places now, but at the same time, like I think there needs to be a long-term strategy to accompany the tour. So one thing, I've been learning a lot in the last couple of years doing this music thing. One thing I used to think was like, I just need to play overseas. I just need to play here. I'll play one show in Australia. I'll play one show in England. I'll play, this, that. And I realized like even after doing that, like not much happened. And I was like, why? Like, I've played overseas now. I should be massive. But that's not how it works. So how it works is that you need to, it's like a synergistic, cyclic sort of phenomenon of needing a market there and then going and feeding the market. But you need to feed the market in order to get the market. But it's this thing where you need to have a strategy in the place that you're going to. So you either need to have distribution that will push your music there. You need to have a way, PR that has links there, a way to make yourself known, to make yourself wanted. And then you go there and then you tour it. And then that increases and so on and so forth. But if you just go somewhere, play a show and come back, cool. If you happen to get anyone at your show in the first place, they'll forget you. If you don't have a strategy to come back, if you're not pushing your music there. So now I'm kind of like, well, I'm going to tour anywhere that I have the ability to actually put my music there first, and then create a demand, and then think about a couple months down the line, maybe a couple years down the line, am I going to be going there constantly, coming back? Am I going to, what's my strategy for feeding that market,
Yeah.
I acknowledge like as an independent artist, it's going to be very difficult to do that. I definitely need outside help. So
So because obviously the market these days is very, very oversaturated. It's incredibly hard to push your music out there because there's so much material out there and people don't want to pay for anything anymore. They're just used to getting everything for free.
Yeah.
So how do you how do you fund the money to like do all these tours?
What a question. So I am fortunate enough so I worked as an engineer for
audio engineer.
No, a software engineer actually. Technically,
nice.
Yeah, technically a test automation engineer. I worked because I studied computer systems engineering at uni for 4 years. I did that, worked for a few years, saved up a lot of money. I'm also married. So my wife is like wonderful. She's working, she's holding it down. I mean, I'm making a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just we're both doing our thing. I've saved a bit, she saved a bit. We're both debt free coming out of uni. And then she's obviously got a steady income, and I'm bringing on some from the side projects that I'm doing. So we're just kind of just like
that's cool,
making
man.
it work. Yeah,
because a lot of musicians I speak to on here obviously struggling. They're trying to push their music, and they're doing a full-time job, and obviously I suppose what I want to know is do you ever get overwhelmed or just run out of energy?
Well, so it's less about the money thing. Like the money thing is something I think about, and I have to be strategic with the investments, because everything I'm spending on is an investment.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I have to be strategic with that. But the main energy drainer is the issue of, like, someone put this really well. Like, there are highs and lows. In creative endeavors, but there were no middles. And it's very true, especially when you're on the come up. Like, you might play an amazing show, get an amazing interview opportunity, a TV spot, whatever, and you're on a high. You're like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm on the right path. God's blessing me. Yo, what's good? And then the next day, you might have 2 months of nothing happening. And you're like, why did I ever decide to do this? Like, I should quit right now. I should throw in the towel. Like, it's either there or it's there.
Yeah.
And it's totally, man, it is so tiring to exist in that space. It's so, you can't depend on external output to bring you to this middle point. You can't depend on some kind of stability or some kind of, regular, this is happening so I can be here. You have to create that ability to bring yourself here, which means you have to motivate yourself. You have to remind yourself when nothing's happening that, no, you've done, this decision you've made is correct, that something will happen that's good. It might not be happening now. You've put in work, so down the future, things will come back. You have to have things that you tell yourself, have ways to remind yourself that what you're doing is right, and you have to be able to foster sort of an attitude in yourself, so you're here as much as you can, and you're not sort of carried by the winds of good things happening and bad things happening. So in that sense, it takes a lot of energy.
So is there any things that you rely on to psychologically stay in that place so you get rid of those negative voices?
Obviously, like I've got an amazing community. My wife is amazing. My family is amazing. My friends are good, and so all of them, they're encouraging me. And then, like, there's my faith. So I'm convinced that the path that I'm on right now is a God thing. I don't know if God's like, yeah, you're gonna be a rapper and you're gonna be the best rapper ever or tour or whatever, but I know that the path right now is a God path, and it's going to lead me to somewhere that he wants me to be. It might be anywhere. So that's something that that take stock in as well.
Yeah, well, listen, dude, I do think you're like so good at what you do, man.
Thanks,
so, yeah, man, whenever you're in your place, in that dark place, bro, just feel free to pop on this interview, bro. Because you're really good. So, like, in terms of when you're writing a verse, how do you structure it? Do you start with the punchline and then work backwards?
Actually, recently I've been experimenting a lot more with that, and I found that's a good way of sort of accentuating the punchlines and making them a bit more beefy. But I change quite often. So what I was doing up until recently was like, especially if it's more of a kind of freestylish kind of verse where I'm just like, it's a bit of a confidence flex. I'm hitting these subjects. I'm doing this and doing that. What I do everything on Google Docs, by the way. Shout out to Google. You all should sponsor me. So like I'll create a Google Doc and I'll bullet point everything that I've been thinking about in the last, I don't know. I'll look at my Twitter, see what I've been tweeting about. I'll look at my Facebook, see what I've been talking about. And just jot down what I've been thinking about, the different subjects, the different feelings that I have. And then I'll start writing and I'll just reference that list and be like, oh, I might talk about this now, cross it off, talk about this, cross it off. There's a way. It was a bit more, that's a
cool way of doing it.
It's a bit more methodical, and like, because you often get to a point where you're like, in your verse, you're like, oh, what do I talk about next? Oh, talks about this.
So did you do that with your 64 bar verse?
Yeah. So yeah, with 2 to the 6, I did that.
How long did it take you to write that?
Man, you know, it's really crazy. When I commit to something like a 48 or a 64, I get that done real quick. Like 2-3 days, I get it done. If I just commit to a 16, sometimes it takes me a week. I'm like, why? It's like, how does it, like a 16, like a 64 is 4 16s. I can do that like boom. But you just tell me to write a 16, I'm like, damn, 16 bars? 16 whole bars? What am I going to say? I don't know why that happened. So yeah, 64 bars. That one, I shouldn't call it that because it's branded. But my 2 to the 6, took 2 to 3 days to compose, to write, and then it was just a task of memorizing it. But yeah, my Weight on My Bar series, where they're all 48 bar tracks. Sometimes they can take a week, or it's weird. Like sometimes it will be like 8 bars or 12 bars will take me a couple days, and then the remaining, 36 bars will be like, boom, happening the rest of the afternoon. It really depends, eh?
Yeah. Oh, true.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting, man. Very, very interesting. So with the production that you do, because obviously being a producer and you write, like how do you make the beat first and then write, or do you customize the beat around what you write?
Yeah.
Because I found I did both.
I will usually have to have the beat first. I have to have a beat. I might not write the music to the lyrics to the beat that I actually use at the end of the day. So for that 2 to the 6 track, I found a beat on like a type beat that I was into. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then wrote to that. And then when I produced the track for it, I made sure that the feel was the same as the type beat. Like it moved the same, it had the same groove, but obviously all the instruments, the melodies, all that, the production was completely different. But I think you have to, if you try and fit a verse around a beat that you didn't write it for, it can still work, but it's not optimized. You know, I really want to optimize my music. I want to make it, make sure it really, really fits. So yeah, when I write to a beat, if I write to a beat that's not mine, I'll make sure I produce a beat that has that same groove. Otherwise, with a lot of the songs that I put out on Spotify and stuff like that, I'll have the beat written first, because I think it comes back to like my sort of musician instrumental background. When I was in East of Eden, I was producing all the music, so I'd write the guitar.
Oh, wow.
I produced all of it. So I'd write all the parts and stuff. So like I come from a background of writing of music first. Like I'll have a melodic idea, I'll have a beat idea, and that'll happen. And then lyrics. Actually, making hip hop my main thing was an interesting experiment, because you can get away in metal with lyrics being a bit of an afterthought. You can be like, oh, I kind of just want to say this. What's the kind of
the guitars take center stage, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's a creative way to say this? Oh yeah, so that'll do. Because A, most people can't understand it anyway. And B, it's just not the thing that you take back. Like if you're thinking of your favorite metalcore songs, metalcore, not medical. You remember the riffs, or you remember the breakdowns, you remember something of it, but you rarely remember like, oh yeah, I liked that verse. Like that's another thing. Whereas in rap and hip hop, it's lyrics. Like that's what you're doing. So I had to be like, oh wait, actually no, I can't just chuck lyrics on at the end and have it an afterthought. I have to like, that has to be it's the fundamental, it's the essence of what I'm doing. So I have to put thought, I have to put effort and energy into the lyricism, and the beats, not so much as an afterthought, but the beat supports the lyrics, not the lyrics supporting the beat, So I had to get that sort of mindset right. And that took a bit of time. But,
I found, because I did a bit of production for the Leaders Force metal band. Cool. I assisted with their production and stuff, and it was a completely different approach than, say, hip hop. Yeah. Which tends to rely on loops,
Yeah, loops.
4/4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of sort of more modern metal and hardcore stuff is like the song structure is just continuous. It's not like hip hop is more closer to, I guess, pop music, where you have A B A B C B song structure, whereas a lot of metalcore, my accent is so bad. You have just like a continuous stream of thought and expressed in music, like. this section will be different to this section. There will be no like real callbacks or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of production. And also even just from a technical point of view, like when you're mixing metal, the lyrics are the vocals are way down, like compared to the music.
Totally.
They're way down. And you don't notice it because in uni, I spent all my time listening to metalcore, hardcore, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I was just conditioned for that music. And then when it comes to producing, if you listen to my stuff, my first Unchained stuff, you're like, why are the vocals so quiet? I'm like, this sounds right to me. But they're like, the vocals are so quiet compared to stuff now. And you listen to like production hip, you're like, oh crap, wow, the vocals are just, they're really in your face.
Yeah.
Like they're really out there.
Did you teach yourself how to mix?
Yeah, man. Like that was
because your mixing's very good, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was like just years and years of trial and error. And
that's the only way you learn.
That's the only way you learn. Like you can get taught. You can get taught in the sense that you can learn
but it didn't really help me that much.
Well, that's the thing. Like you can get the theory. You can learn. I think stuff like SAE and mains are so valuable for knowledge of gear, knowledge of industry standard knowledge of I guess technical knowledge of how things work. They're great for that, and they're amazing for that. But like mixing it's like, I guess the differences between, say, Auckland University and Auckland University of Technology. You can learn the theory all you want, but how do you actually do something? Like imagine someone coming to a place and teaching you, not showing you, just teaching you how to be a carpenter, teaching you how to make a table. You coming away being like, writing a test being like, sweet, this is what I do. I drill this, I cut this, I do this. You write the test, you pass, you get an A+, and then you go around saying, bro, I'm a carpenter. Everyone's like, what have you made, bro? What are you, and has anything that you have made, is it good? Does it stand up? Does it, or is it crap? So like, how do you get good at making? You just have to make stuff.
Yeah.
And the first things you make, no matter how qualified you are probably going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much you learn intellectually, the connection between what your brain does and what your hands can do is different. And it's the same thing with mixing, man. You can I talk to mix engineers from SAE who know so much stuff. They'll know plugins, they'll know what this does, they'll know this stuff, and they'll know how to master for this platform, how to master for this, how to do this. And I'll listen to their stuff. I'm like, okay. I just won't even comment because I'm like, well, yeah, I don't care how much you know, bro. Like I was mixing stuff on Adobe Audition 1.5. Yeah. That sounds better than that.
Yeah.
With plugins that like you should never use for music. So like it
just comes down to ear. I mean,
it's your ear, and your ear needs to be trained. It's a technical exercise.
It's a very, very hard thing to master.
Yeah, it is.
And it's something you just get better at. Like every time you do a song and you listen back, you could be like, I can do this better. Yeah. And also when you're mixing, like your ears get, over time they get tired. And because I find I've mixed something. Yeah. They're like, this is dope. And then I'll go away, come back like an hour later. I'm like, oops. What?
That fatigue does happen. I think what I tell people, because I get a lot of people being like, bro, like, can you teach me how to mix? I'm like, I could, or can you mix myself? I could do that. I could also just tell you to go away, have a go at it, and come back, and then I could tell you the things that you need to listen for. I'm not going to tell you what plugins you should use. I like anyone who asks me like, oh, what are the best plugins? I'm like, bro, don't worry about the plugins. I'll listen to their stuff, and I'll be like, there's no plugin under high heaven that's going to fix that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like,
well, if you record something badly, then
you're recording. So it's not even the gear; it's the performance. Like a lot of people can't even get the performance right. If you're like recording like this, and like, or you're not confident, you're not like, you're not enunciating, you're not doing all this stuff. You're like, it doesn't matter what happens from the recording side to the mixing side, the mastering side. It's trash already. The performance is the first thing you get. The second thing, obviously, the way you record, not even the actual gear you use, just mic positioning, all that kind of stuff. That needs to be right. And then you get into, after that is right, then you get into gear. Totally. I think it's honestly like 80 to 85% is just how skillful the people are at doing what they're doing. In terms of quality, 80, 85%. Then when you get that last 90%, that's when you get not even top line gear, you just get like a step up from your baseline gear. That will take you to the 90%. The last 10% is when you start spending $20,000 on an EQ. You know, like, which I just learnt recently that some people do. Which that sounds kind of crazy, but I guess if you have $20,000 speakers, you get $20,000 detail, which $20,000 EQs can, you know, manipulate. But then, I mean, everyone goes and listens on $10 friggin'.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, but if you want to get that 85 to 90% quality, that's all your ear, that's all training, that's all stuff. You can use Reaper, Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, stock plugins, this, stock plugins, that, and you can get to that level of quality. Like my walkout was playing on the radio. Bro, you should have seen the room I recorded that in. I had no padding on the walls. I had like a friggin' a blanket that I just put over my head. I didn't, like, my mixing, I think it was, I had no sub. Like, I had cheap headphones I was monitoring bass from. I was like, so like, my gear was terrible. I still got that on the radio. They were still like, oh, it's good enough to be on the radio. So like, you can do that stuff. You know what I mean? Mixing is definitely a skill that you need to build up over time. Yeah.
Would you ever get into scoring music for like short films or films or anything?
100%. So like a friend of mine who's a stunt person, because we all have friends who do stunt work. She was like, she had like a kind of like a reel kind of thing, or a video that, you know, you send to choreographers so they can they'll determine if they want you for a movie or not. She was like, oh yeah, you know, I've got this clip, can you do some music for it? I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. So that was a cool little experiment that I did. I composed a little a piece for that, and I put it together, and she was really happy with the product, and I was like, oh man, I'd do more of that.
Was it just like a funky type?
No, it was like an action scene, like suspense and all that kind of stuff.
You got the link? I want to hear it.
Yeah, I can show you that. Also, I did. My friends who got married in January asked me to write their walk-in music. So and they're like, they came from the same scene that I did, so they were like into metal and stuff like that. But they obviously didn't want like a just straight metal piece. I created something that was cinematic, and that was had all the kind of sort of lovely melodies and soft kind of things. But then sort of at the end, the climax when the bride comes in, I sort of incorporated a bit more of this sort of heavy stuff. But it's just complemented, what was going on. So yeah, that was an interesting experiment as well, writing and composing that. I definitely do that kind of stuff if I could get more.
So if that opportunity came up,
100%, yeah, man.
So besides music, what else do you like to get into?
So I was a competitive powerlifter. When I say competitive, I competed.
Real?
Yeah, I competed. Didn't mean I was competitive as in I was that good. But so from around 2012, I competed in powerlifting federations in New Zealand.
Damn.
I did a lot of that stuff.
What was your max weight?
Oh man, so this is on record. So my max squat was 240 kilos. Max bench was 182.5 I hit.
Yeah. And
deadlift was 282.5. Yep. So they're like intermediate numbers for my weight.
Bro, it's still more than I can do.
Yeah. So that it's funny because powerlifting really, really messes with your mental calibration of what is good. Like you'll have a powerlifter like me who's been competing for 5 years, who relative to other powerlifters is average to not really that considerably good, thinking they're terribly weak, and then every single other person who just goes to a normal gym will be like, how do you even? I can't even dream of lifting that. Yeah. Like I remember going to when I went to see Europe in 2016, we went around to a few cities. We were trying to hit gyms just to make sure that because we were just eating bread all the time. So we're just like, we need to work out. So like I'd go into a gym and I'd like bench 150, and have people stand there like watching like. I was like, really, guys? It's not that much weight. Like I know dudes in my weight who can bench 220, 230. Yeah. But like people in commercial gyms, they just have another sense of what is, because they're not there to lift their max weight. They're there to work their muscles out. Yeah. So if they see someone who picks up that much weight, they're like, whoa, how?
I must admit, I'm one of those dudes that probably stops and stares and it's like, oh,
yeah, man. It's all good. Like I like it. I mean, that's part of why.
It's good for the ego.
It's great for you. Yeah, man. So that's one thing. I was that took up quite a lot of time outside of music.
Yeah. So you don't do it anymore?
Man,
do you still go to the gym?
Yeah, I do. So, and to be honest, I still train like a powerlifter. That's never going to sort of stop. But like, I'm a bit too injured now to, To really
bro, I've had so many injuries from trying to be a hero at the gym, man.
It's crazy. Like, no matter how much focus you put on technique and all that kind of stuff, which is very important, but no matter how much focus and energy and all that kind of stuff you put into technique, injuries are so inevitable because you like at the end of the day, I just don't think your body was designed to carry that kind of weight. It wasn't designed to do that. So when you push it to those limits, like you can do amazing things. You'll do amazing things with your body, but like your body will let you know in various ways that it does not approve.
Like, hey, I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like it, man. Stop. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So it's definitely slowed down. And also, just in terms of if you want to be a good powerlifter, you have to put in so much work, man. Like so I don't know, how long would you spend at the gym? Like an hour?
An hour and a half?
Hour and a half max?
Yeah.
A powerlifting session can go from 3 hours. There are people, you go there at lunchtime and they'll leave at 5 o'clock in the evening. That's their whole session. Because that's just how, like some people, 3 to 5 hours is not that like crazy.
Is that because they just do long ass rests?
Partly, yeah. But you need long ass rest because if you're benching 90% or you're squatting 90% for 8 sets, you're not going to be taking 1 minute breaks. Your body's going to like stuff that. I need to chill for a while. So it's a long breaks, and there's just a lot of like, depending on what your program is, there's a lot of volume you might need to get through. So you take an hour and a half, 2 hours to just get through your bench or your squat, your deadlifts, and then after that you need to go and do all your accessory like, I don't know, bicep curls for the girls. You need to go do your like lunges, your mobility work might take an hour even before you even start. Everything that builds up your muscles to condition you to be able to do that stuff. Yeah, you need to do that afterwards, and that takes hours. That can take hours as well. So
did you, when you were doing it, did you spend like 5 hours in the gym?
I wouldn't say like 5, not 5, but definitely 3 hour sessions I've had. Yeah. And that's
but would the time go real fast? Would you be like, man, this is taking ages?
Sometimes it will take ages when you're following a program and you've got like 10 sets of bench to do at the same weight. And you're like, really? But sometimes especially when you're like, you might be testing that day or something and you have to take a long time to warm up and all that stuff. The time passes and you don't even think about it. You're just so focused on hitting the weight. And yeah, man.
Ah, true. But do you still go to the gym? Do you mostly weights or cardio, or what do you do?
Yeah, and I still go to the gym and do weights. So I go to Aotearoa Strong, which is I wouldn't say a powerlifting. It's a strength and performance gym in Penrose.
Yep.
And they run a lot of powerlifting comps there. And the person who runs the gym, the owner of the gym rather, she is the ex-GPC president. So she, that's still a very powerlifting oriented gym. Yeah. Although they're starting to sort of branch out into other things now. But so I'm still kind of in that kind of scene, in that circle. I don't really see myself sort of moving out of powerlifting because I'm just addicted to the feeling of getting better, getting stronger all the time. Even though it ebbs and flows, like you take a couple of weeks, take a month off the gym and you're suddenly like, oh crap, I've lost 5 years worth of progress. But it comes back real quick, and then if you stick at it, you get even better. So yeah, man.
I remember you did a track around Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, man. Stylebender, so
because he's from Nigeria.
He is, he's Yoruba. Which is another one of the main ethnicities there. But I thought I'd do an ode to him because, like, as a Nigerian Kiwi sort of person who's prominent and who's putting himself out there, who obviously embraces the Nigerian side, embraces his Kiwi side, I was like, oh man, I see a lot of he inspires me. So I thought I'd create a tribute track. The other guy who was on that track is a guy called Nyo Nonso, he's an Igbo guy like me. He's an amazing singer. Amazing vocalist, and I thought it would be cool to get him on a track and us to do like a bit of a Nigerian anthem for him. So like the rhythm that we use and the meter that we use in that is very like off-center in terms of like, I guess your usual rap listener or usual even pop music listener would be like, what's going on here? Like they'll listen to it and every time I play it live, people are like, I want to get into this, but I'm not sure how to do it. Whereas like Africans are like, as soon as they hear it, they're like, this is the beat from back home. They know it, but like, Yeah, so it was a bit of a risk when I put it out because I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to get it, but I want to make sure that if I do something for him, it has that real sort of traditional backing to it.
Did he hear it? Do you know?
Yeah, he heard it. He vibed it and he shared it off his Instagram and Facebook. Actually,
oh damn!
Yeah,
have you met him or not?
Oh yeah, like our families know each other because he grew up. He came over here when he was fairly young.
I'd love to meet that guy. Eh?
Yeah, in a time where like there weren't many Nigerians here, so the Nigerian community, I mean, it still is pretty close, but even in that time it was real close. So anyone of his age who spent a while in New Zealand, we definitely know. I've met him a few times. So I'm on the board of an association called the Nigerian Association of New Zealand. So obviously we cover most of the North Island in terms of looking after sort of Nigerian migrants who come here and stuff. And
that's cool, man.
Yeah, we introduce them to like the way we do things, the systems and stuff, and make it sort of a comfortable transition for them. But we also hold a Independence Day party for Nigerian independence here in Auckland at the first Saturday of every October. So yeah, I usually see Israel there when he's in New Zealand. He comes along. We get like 700 to 800 people who come along every year.
Really?
So yeah, mostly Nigerians, but obviously we extend the invite to anyone. So we get other community members coming along, some politicians, police representatives, everyone. So yeah, that's the kind of thing we run every year, and we see a lot of our people who are doing well come together for that. Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Has he ever asked you to spar with him or anything?
Bro, I would not dream of it, man. I would not dream. That dude is deadly.
What if you asked him, you're like, hey, man, I'll spar with you, but you got to do powerlifting with me?
Man, I seen him do some weights, and he looks strong, man. Like,
bro, he's shredded, man.
He's strong, man. And you need that explosivity. Explosivity? I don't even know that. Explosiveness, rather. You need that to be able to do what he does. A lot of MMA athletes, like it's a different man. They might not have the raw power that powerlifters do.
You have to be impervious to pain, man.
Bro, like you need to learn how to take a punch, like a real punch. It's not even like a boxing punch. Like even boxing's bad enough, bro. Yeah. Taking a boxing punch bad enough. But MMA with those small gloves, elbows, knee. No, I would not dream of sparring with that dude. Yeah, it would be insane. And also even the fitness. So the first time I started, when I was a few years ago, I started getting into like a bit of just boxing with my flatmates and stuff, just to see what it's like. And man, like you like 2 to 3 minute rounds. You're like, really, only 2 to 3 minutes? And when he actually used to do it, you're like, when is this round gonna finish? Like it starts and you're like, wait, it's only been 25 seconds. I've been like punching my heart out and I'm ready to lie on the ground. And you're telling me there's 2 minutes left of this round. No. So yeah, I after that, I gained a huge appreciation for like combat sport athletes and the amount of fitness, man.
It requires a lot of
bro, and here's the thing.
And a lot of training.
Here's the thing. This is what really gets me, right. There's this, obviously New Zealand's got this tall poppy thing.
Yeah, it's annoying.
they've got this stay humble thing and all this, and like the number of comments on Twitter and on Instagram telling, oh, Israel, you better stay humble. This. I'm like, bro, when you're when you're fighting in a sport where it is legal to kill, you're like, you could die.
Yeah.
You know, like you actually want to, I think a lot of athletes have actually said, yeah, I'm trying to kill my opponent. That's the kind of aggression. When you're in that kind of sport and in that kind of context, if your mental like context, your mental game is anything less than 100% belief in 150% belief in yourself. If you're not at that level, you're going to get crushed and stampled on because you're messing with people who are like that. You're messing with people who think of themselves as gods. And a lot of people like are compelled away from that and think that's disgusting. But I understand why. Because like if you don't believe in yourself, who is? When it's just you and the other person in the ring, you need to believe that you're going to not only survive, that you're going to,
it's psychological as much as physical.
It's psychological warfare. So I understand why Israel is like that. I don't know how much of it is like genuine. I don't know how much of it is like something he's coached up to just be as an athlete. I don't know how much is just showmanship. But there definitely is an element there of needing to be like that full of yourself. And I respect it. I'm like, you know, what these guys say about themselves, you need to do it. Like, that's why he's doing so well so far. And that's why, you know, you see Wilder, who like is just killing it. Yeah. Like he's out there saying all this nonsense. Like, I'm going to kill and people are like, oh my gosh, how are you saying you're going to kill? That's what you have to say. That's the kind of aggression you need
you have to get into that mindset.
That's the thing. So
and you can't get out of that mindset. You have to stay in that mindset 24/7.
That's the thing. So I respect it.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched a few interviews with him, and I don't actually think he's that arrogant.
No, he's not. Like, and like if you're just talking to him, he's such a lovely dude, man. Like,
I've seen interviews with him. He seems like a nice dude. He's confident.
Yeah.
But then some people mistake confidence as arrogance.
Yeah.
Some
people just can't contextualize that arrogance. You know, they can't. They don't. They're seeing what he is on camera as it must be who he is as a person,
which is
to
ridiculous.
The depth of it's definitely something that you have to generate, and it's the same with battle rappers. Like when you're a battle rapper, you say stuff about yourself and you're like, really? Do I really believe that? Like you're like, I descended from like Titan or something. You're like, okay, but when you're not rapping, you're like, you don't actually think you're like the son of Zeus, but you might say that in a battle because that's a kind of, you know, that's where you need to get to.
I mean, some of the most humble dudes I've met are battle rappers, man. I mean, PFAC is humble as, but like when he gets in the ring, he's brutal, man. He doesn't hold anything back, because it's a sport.
It's a sport.
It's a sport. So these people that say these things, they're probably looking at it through a narrow lens, you know, or haven't been exposed to that. So they're just, you know, jump on Twitter and some people are just hating, man.
Exactly. And it's the classic thing of until you are in that position that they're in, you just need to be, ironically, you need to be humble with how you express your opinion. So
So coming back to music, because it traces back to it. So how do you prevent yourself from getting affected by negative comments? Because do you get haters much? Just being like, yo, man, you're whack, bro.
I get a little bit of that, man. I think it's just, so one of the biggest things for me, actually, one of the turning points, because I'm naturally, as a person, I'm very affected by criticism.
Really?
Yeah. Like, so
you don't strike me as that, man.
Yeah. So people who I think are at the depths of their being creatives are sensitive to criticism, because it's a vulnerable practice to put your stuff out there. You know. It is. So I was affected by. So when I started getting my first, like when my music started going beyond my friend circles, going beyond my family, and sort of reaching people who weren't emotionally invested in me, who could, who would just provide their opinion. That's when I started getting people being like, "Oh, this guy's whack, he's gonna flow." And so I was like, "Oh crap, well these guys are saying this, what?" But then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, you go to someone like Kendrick's, like a YouTube video of Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. And you'll see people being like, this dude sucks. Like, Kendrick Lamar sucks? So if you have people saying that he sucks, of course there are people going to be saying that I suck. Yeah. You know, like you go to Adele, arguably like the best singer in the world a couple years ago, right? Go to her YouTube page and see what people are saying about her. Shut up, you cow. That's what people are saying. You're like, bro, she's like there's no one better than her at singing at this point in time. And there are people calling her a cow, and her songs are whiny and she can't sing. Like, if people can say that about people at that level, then of course they will say that about me. And when I really realized that, I was like, makes sense, man. I don't get, like, that just flipped a switch in me. I'm
so do you know when to take constructive criticism on board and when not to?
So there's a saying that's like that I thought was amazing. It's like, don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. I think that's an amazing saying, because like people who you would take advice from, people who you respect, people who you admire, especially if you have a connection with them and they are honest enough with you to be like, look, man, like you need to work on this. This wasn't good. That's completely different to someone who you have no idea about, who you have no interest in, who's just another icon on a screen saying that your stuff sucks. Yeah. It's different. Because
I think it's also what's said as well, right? Because there's a big difference between saying, hey man, maybe you could have improved on this vocal instead of, yo, this is trash.
That's definitely a big part. But also, like, even if that person says that's trash, like, you need to be like, well, I would actually take advice from that person, or that person might have a track record of making good stuff or demonstrating that they know what they're talking about. So if they say I'm trash, I need to step back and be like, oh, hang on, maybe I need to change things. I mean, it's harsh. I would rather not people say I'm trash. I'd rather people actually be like, yo, this is what I didn't like about it. But at the same time, some people just aren't able to communicate that. Oh, so one of the coolest things, or one of the most interesting things I realized coming from a producer background, is that you need to stop making music for musicians. That was a trap that I fell into, because I was being a musician my whole life. I'd be a producer my whole life. I'd be like, look at all this like production detail that I've chucked in, that only people who are very music minded will know. Only people who are producers will see and hear and all that kind of stuff. But your average person who just listens to stuff on the radio or in the car on the way to whatever, like they're not going to listen to that. They're going to listen to the song and be like, do I vibe it? If I don't vibe it, it sucks.
Yeah.
So actually, paradoxically, when these people are like, it sucks, you need to be like, whoa, hang on. It might not be the most constructive thing in the world, but it's communicating something important. It's communicating that your music is not resonating with the people. It's resonating with a select few musicians, and yeah. But like, if you're wanting to really get out there and extend your breadth and extend your depth and width of your influence with your music, you need to pay attention to these people who are just like, I don't vibe it. It just doesn't connect with me. Yeah. And it's frustrating, because you're like, do I change the drums here? Do I change the synth? Like, do I change the vocal? What do I change? They won't know. They won't know it. Because the thing is, you can change your music very, like, you can alter your music by 2 BPM and it completely changes the feel. You show 2 versions of the track to people, they won't know what the difference is. They'll be like, oh, for some reason I just like it. I just don't like it. You can change the level of the vocal. You can change the compression on a vocal. There are things that you can do that people will just be like, I like it, I don't. And so it's such a valuable exercise to challenge yourself to listen to that advice and be like, what is it? What is it about this piece that's not really hitting the mark? What is it about this? And just try and step into the shoes of people who are not musical experts and understand why. Because at the end of the day, people remember how they feel. They remember what moves them. They remember what inspires them, encourages them, challenges them, invokes certain emotions. They don't remember, oh man, the snare was dope. Like, not your average person. Like, maybe me and you who've been in music for a while, I love that record, that snare, just kick. But you know, your average person's not going to be like, I like the snare. They're going to be like, oh, I like it because I broke up with my person and I heard the song and it really spoke to me.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Like, I was listening to the song and I sing it all the time now. Sweet. That's the kind of feedback you need to be able to be okay with and learn how to navigate.
Have you ever done a song and you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling this, but I'll release it anyway, and then it does, and then people love it, and you're like, hey.
You know what's funny? So like, I released this track called "We Be On." It's the top of my Spotify.
Yep.
I was going to and fro with it. Like, it was my first track I did with Kim Posey.
Yep.
There were some days I was like, yeah, this is banging, and other days I'm like, because I skipped a few. Like, I took a few shortcuts with the production. I took a few shortcuts with the mixing and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, this is an experiment. I want to get it out there. We didn't promo it and do anything. I was like, we're just going to put it out, see what happens. It hits 3 Spotify playlists. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, all this, like, I put out an EP this year, and every single song on that EP, I spent hours being like, is this vocal part placed at the right millisecond? Is the snare hitting the right? Am I automating this at the right? Yeah, the amount of detail put in that EP. Like, I still listen to that EP. I'm like, even though I don't really like it too much, like, I appreciate the work, and because I can still hear the work that I put into that EP to this day. We Be On didn't have any of that effort in it, but it got 3 Spotify plays. People are like, bro, this is the tune. So I come back and I'm like, I listen to it over and over again. I'm like, what is it? And then it started clicking with me. I'm like, I can feel it. I can feel what people are feeling with this song. I don't know what it is. It's like a combination of, it's like, it got a good vibe, it's got a good energy, it makes you feel nice. There's something about it. It's intangible. It can't really be described, but it just has that thing that stuck with people. So I'm like, like, even if I'm not feeling a song of mine that I put out, like, I have to search and be like, does it have that intangible thing that will connect with people? It's hard. Like, I don't think you can predict it. I think it's a lot easier to see in retrospect.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, definitely there are songs that I'm like, songs that I don't expect to do as well as they do, that do well. And songs I expect to do really well that just fall flat as hell. I suspect that most artists go through that. Yeah.
I even find I might pick apart like some of my podcasts that I do. I'll do a podcast and I'm like, oh man, it didn't go too well. and then someone will be like, yo, man, this podcast is really good. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like pick apart everything. And I'm sure, because I'm a control freak as well, and you're the same. Yeah. Like, I only see, sometimes I look at everything through like a negative lens, and I can only see the stuff that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And also there's just the bias that your mind has, because you're like, it's like you're immune to the good things about you.
Yeah,
like you're immune to it. Like all the stuff that does work, your brain's not focusing on. You're focusing on all the places where it misses the mark. What I really struggled with coming into hip hop was like my voice. I didn't like the sound of my voice in hip hop. I'm still not even really convinced by it, but people are like, especially in that 2 to 6 song, they're like, dude, your voice is dope. I'm like, really? I don't really like it. But like, it's that thing of like, when you listen to that's probably the most classic example, when everyone listens to themselves for the first time in recording. It's disgusting. I hate it. Like, because we only notice what we don't sound like, and we only notice what we want to sound like. Whereas we don't notice all the nice tones that come from our voice. We don't notice all the things that are attractive about it, the way we pronounce words, the way we might float off different kind of phrases and stuff. We don't notice that. We're just like, it doesn't sound like my favorite people's.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear like Kiwi accents like on television and stuff, like particularly if it's an American interviewing a Kiwi person, and you're like,
that's really,
do we sound like that?
Yeah, man. That's a really interesting, Kiwi accents in hip hop is a really interesting subject, which I probably like. My opinion of is probably a bit counter what a lot of people think. I don't know if you want to get into that.
No, we can get into it.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
So as a disclaimer, like, if people, I respect the fact that people are like, okay, this is my accent, like, I'm gonna rap in it. I'm like, okay, cool. What I don't like, I'm like, if you want to do Kiwi accent hip hop, that's cool. What I don't like is when people who retain the Kiwi accent in hip hop look at those of us who modify the accent. And launch criticism at us for not being authentic. The reason why I don't like that is because I don't think they're appreciating the fact that, first of all, hip hop is American culture. We can't get around that. It's like, I mean, without getting too hardcore into the history of hip hop and how some people think it's descended from Jamaica, which it kind of did, but like, hip hop sort of
at its core, it's American.
Yeah, at its core, and hip hop nurtured it. And the sound of hip hop is inseparable from American culture. It's inseparable from how they lived, what they did, what they experienced, what they faced, how they talk, how they act, how they react. So you got people out here who walk like Americans, who have like American slang, who are doing all this American stuff, and then talking like Kiwis and being like, why are you speaking like an American? I'm like, why are you acting in an American in all these other ways? Like, let's be honest here. You're either, you can't. So for me,
they're
just
moving
like,
the goalpost. Really.
Yeah, they're moving the goal. And the other thing is, Kiwi, like New Zealand hip hop is like, I mean, hip hop in general is young, but New Zealand hip hop is even younger in terms of its growth and its expansion. And we are yet to very much solidify what Kiwi hip hop is. You can listen to UK hip hop and be like, yep, that descended from. Oh, I mean, you can hear the garage influence. You can hear the all the different sort of the drum and bass. You can hear all the UK.
It has a very unique sound.
It has a unique sound.
Yeah.
New Zealand hip hop, we're still trying to figure stuff out, and that's cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. We like a lot of our hip hop just sounds like American hip hop that we're rapping our way on. Some of it sounds like UK hip hop. We're still in the process of getting that identity, forming that really New Zealand hip hop staple sound, and then coming out. And we're not at the sense, like, what I'm getting at with this point is that UK hip hop, prior to when grime really got massive, right? Prior to when grime really got massive, UK hip hop was actually frowned upon. Like, within the UK, they were like, you guys are just trying to be Americans. And Americans were like, yo, well, yeah, you're weird. So, but what it took for UK hip hop, which is not UK grime, it's different. Well, what it took for UK hip hop to really sort of make a bit of a global stand was for grime to get big. When grime got big and people got used to the UK accent, people were like, oh yeah, UK accent's dope. Why? Because it's contextualized by UK music. It's not contextualized by just trying to be American music. It's contextualized by UK music. We're hearing the UK accent within a UK sound. That got big. Suddenly, we're used to the UK accent. It sounds good. It sounds, it makes sense. So when UK hip hop rears its head again, we're like, yeah, we can deal with that. We've heard that accent. It's come from grind. We like it. What has New Zealand done to establish its accent in music? A lot of people who do pop are still singing pop with American accents. Our Kiwi rock, we're still singing rock with kind of Kiwi-ish accents. American-ish accents. So what have we done to really establish the Kiwi accent as something that is palatable and something that on a global scale and something that can exist within hip hop, American style hip hop, I mean.
Yeah.
And sound amazing. We're still forming that. We're still building that. I think it will happen. I think we'll get like this very New Zealand sound that globally makes our accent in music sound awesome.
I don't even think it's just with music. I think it's just in general because New Zealand accents they don't get much mainstream
exactly
push in terms of in terms of film or anything. So like it's still young, and I think
it's still young.
People can't hear a New Zealand accent sometimes and be like, is that a Kiwi accent?
Yes, exactly. So once that happens, I think then when you have Kiwi accent in American style hip hop, then it's gonna sound a lot more like it makes makes sense. Because at the moment there's still a little bit of I'm not really sure, because we're literally just copying American. Like you can trace that beat, that sounds like it's from Atlanta. That beat sounds like it's from there. So we're just taking American beats and putting our accent over it.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Like again, I'm not criticizing anyone who wants to do that. Perfectly fine. I'm just saying, like, don't turn around and criticize us for who are like changing our accent a little bit. Because like we're not at the point where
it's art.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean,
there's that as well.
It's art, like
There's that as well. Yeah.
And sometimes, like, I don't know about for you, but like even when I'm like rapping and stuff, sometimes I feel like I'm getting into a character or a certain space or frame of mind. And so you're like, we don't get like that when someone's changes their accent for a film or something. There's British people that play Americans and films.
So like I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I don't care what like I mean, Americans might feel differently about this, which is interesting. But like, I'm not bothered by what accent you put on to do hip hop. I'm more interested in the content. But yeah, if you criticize people, those of us who are doing sort of pseudo American, or even there are some people like a lot of the drill guys from Australia doing pseudo British accents now. Like people are putting on something that makes sense in the context that they're doing it. So I'm just saying, like, look, if you're making American sounding music, if you're dressing like an American, if you're walking and walking like an American, if you're thatting like an American, and don't turn around and say, "Oh, don't rap with an American accent," I'll just look at you and be like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. Like if you're going to be like, Kiwi all the way, then just be a Kiwi all the way. Like do your music videos in sandals and eat fish and chips at the beach. That kind of stuff. Like do that. But don't try and be an American and then criticize us for having an American accent.
So do you get that quite a bit? Do you?
Not too much, because I think a lot of rappers are still doing American. But like there are some people like, why is he sounding American?
Like Ryan Lovins, who was on here, like he's from America.
Oh, okay,
But then some people be like, yo man, why are you rapping with an American accent? I'm like, dude, he's American, bro. Like he actually has his accent.
And I get, honestly, I understand the criticism because it's coming from a place of, well, integrity and authenticity. Like I get that perspective. I just think it's a little bit short-sighted.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because a lot of people think like rapper, you have to be authentic. You got to keep it real, sort of thing. Yeah. But a lot of people don't keep it real. To be perfectly honest, Well, even the dudes who are mainstream, who are like on radio and stuff, they're not living the life that they claim.
Yeah. And I guess exactly. And my large point, my sort of overarching point is the whole practice of doing hip hop is an appropriation of American culture. Because that's where hip hop came from. The whole practice of being like, I'm going to be a rapper now, is adopting a part of Americanism. So if you're going to do that, then it makes no sense for you to select what you don't like about what other people are doing and say it's too American. You just be like, well, look, the whole enterprise is American enterprise, so just get over it, you know? Yeah, that's my opinion anyway. Like, people are going to disagree. That's probably the first thing I've said on record that is disagreeable with a lot of people. So
but hey, it might spark debate, but it's all good. I mean, there's some battle rappers that rap with an American accents, but they talk, you know, when they talk, they have a Kiwi accent. Yeah. And it might come up in a battle rap where someone will diss them for being authentic. You know? So it is a common thing, man.
Yeah, man, it's all good either way.
Yeah. So besides powerlifting and music, what else do you like to get into?
Man, there's honestly, like, that's really taken most of my so I do, I mean, this is not really too separated from music, but I do a bit of like mentoring with like young people and stuff within the context
like youth work.
Yeah, well, within the context of music, like I'll be invited to do like a workshop with some youth.
Yeah. Is it through like like a church or
some of that, and I've got a friend who works for Raise Up YMCA sort of initiative.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and he's invited me to do a couple of things. So like I get and the reason I bring this up is because I like, it's less about the music per se. It's more about I like the idea of mentoring. I like the idea of teaching. It was interesting when I was in my work at Serato's where I worked. I was a test automation engineer, and we did this thing called it's like a personality kind of thing.
I've done one of those. What are they called? Like the Myers-Briggs.
There's Myers-Briggs, but there's one. I think the one ours was called Strength Finders or something like that. And our management got all of our engineers to do it. Just to make sure that we're placed in the company is correct, and just you know, we're optimizing where we're at. And all the people in my role got really technical strengths as their top. Like everyone was like, oh yeah, logical thought, critical analysis, problem solving, that's your top strengths, and everything else came after that. Whereas mine was like empathy, communication, and relationship and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I remember my manager kind of sat me down and he's like, so are you happy in your role at the moment? And I was like, oh man, I don't want to lose my job. Yeah, man, I love my job. But there was obviously something in me which was like, my manager knew that. So he kind of got me towards the end of my sort of tenure there. He got me to be involved with sort of like, because I was at a senior position and like sort of mentoring some of the younger people who are working there and stuff, and sort of teaching. So like the idea of just communicating ideas with people and helping them understand things, like I love, and obviously with young people that's a big part of it. And also I guess it just gives you a chance to reflect on areas when you were younger that advice that you wish you had. So it's like almost an exercise in self-reflection as well, which I am a big fan of. But
so what's some of so when you're mentoring these kids, what's some of the common, like, are you just mentoring them solely in music, or are you trying to?
It's mostly music.
Inspire them or helping them out with other problems they may be having.
Chiefly, I have done a bit of that, but it is chiefly within like at least the starting point is music. It's like, you'll come and help these guys, and then like when relationships are formed there, they'll go into other subjects. But the thing that I like talking about with the music, interesting that we've just had this conversation about accents and stuff, but one of the things that I talk about with young people is authenticity in terms of like, in terms of not feeling like they have to be something else in order to be like to attain what they want to attain. Like a lot of people go into a lot of the young people, they'll listen to these people on the radio and they'll be like, oh, I have to be like that. I have to sound like that. I have to be these people in order to get, and it's a natural thing. Like you just want to, when you're young, you want to fit in, you look at people, you're not that good at hiding your influences. Like they come through. So like I'll be mentoring these kids and they'll be rapping about pulling up to your block with a Glock. I'm like, bruh.
Do you have a Glock?
Yeah, the thing, I'm like, first of all, it's awesome that you're not actually trying to do that stuff and that you're in the studio just talking about it. It's awesome that you're making music and you're actually doing something that's ultimately constructive. I just need to sort of guide your ship a little bit so you're not talking about that stuff. and you're talking about stuff that you've actually been through, you've actually felt, and that you can use to resonate with your peers. And you can do it you can make anything sound cool if you're creative enough. So that's the exercise. Just delve into your history, delve into your whakapapa, delve into what you're about, and talk about that, and cultivate a creativity that's competent enough to make it sound awesome. Yeah. That's like my main sort of starting point with those guys. So I'll be like, look, bro, like that song, tell me about you, and then let's workshop a way that we can write a verse to communicate. Because I'll workshop one of my verses. The verse I usually use as an example is from one of my songs called Na Wetendeno. I literally, like, my verse is literally talking about the most, like, in terms of hip hop, the kind of lamest thing ever. Like, yeah, my parents came from Nigeria. They went to England. My mom's a good cook. My dad was really smart. We came here, and this is who I am. I'm Nigerian. I'm Kiwi. Like, putting that in a rap, if you just say it, it sounds kind of dumb. But the way I've constructed it, I show these young people, like, oh, wow, yeah, like, that actually sounds real dope. So I'm just like, yeah, and that all I'm telling is my story. I'm not trying to do this, say or be anything that I'm obviously not going to be. You probably don't even live on a block, bro. Do you know what a block is? Like, you don't have a Glock. You're not pulling up on anyone with a Glock. You're not shooting anybody. Don't talk about getting in the clubs. You're 17, that kind of thing. So I'm just like, bro, like, everyone's story can sound interesting, can resonate with other people, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. There is something about you that exists in someone else. There's something about you that exists in all these millions of people. You can reach them. Just figure out how to do that. Don't like, and one thing I need to tell all of these kids is like, bro, the people who rap about pulling up with Glocks actually pull up with Glocks. That happens. Like, that a lot of these people are just like, yeah, this is my life. That's how that kind of gangster rap started. Like, these people were living in situations where they had to do that to survive. Like, everyone talking about selling coke, like, yeah, like, that was the option for them in that time because of the social political situation. So I'm like, bro, step back, man. And like, I know that's what a lot of people you listen to are rapping about, but you can make your stuff sound that cool, that edgy. You just you might need it extra bit of creativity to do it, because there aren't as many influences out there for you to look to be like, yeah, he's doing it. But you can do it. So that's a big entry point for me anyway, just being like, bro, like, who are you? And then that conversation will lead to other things, because obviously when these kids talk about what they've been through and what they've done, they open up a bit more, they get vulnerable, and they talk about what's actually happening, and then it gets into like, oh yeah.
Has it ever made you aware of things that you weren't aware of previously?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Like, so, would there be sometimes a trend with some of these kids? Like, they might have gone through similar problems. Oh, in New Zealand we have child poverty, we have domestic violence, those sort of things. Do you ever see, or you're mentoring some kids and you're noticing like a pattern?
Yeah, so a lot of it is like a disconnection with, parental situations a massive thing. Feeling a disconnect from their parents either not being there at all or something, and then them getting parented by rap artists instead of being, instead of there. So that's a massive thing. I think just also identity is a huge thing. So like the kids, I quite enjoy kids who are of color, because they obviously resonate with me in different ways. So I think working out your identity can be a traumatic thing. Like, it can be traumatic, especially for Maori in New Zealand. It can be a traumatic thing to work out your identity. So a lot of these Maori kids who are trying to work out their identity are sort of looking to places that they shouldn't look to. And I'm understanding, I get it, man. But let's try and steer you to something that will uplift you, your peers, and your everyone else in your circle. So that's one of the things as well. Like, just figuring out who they are, accepting who they are. Because we have a history in New Zealand of preventing Maori people from accepting who they are, preventing them from flourishing within their culture and lifting up their culture. So when you've got these kids who are Maori but feel like they shouldn't be Maori, that's a huge dissonance that creates a lot of trouble within their minds. So like, I'm not maximum.
Well, when you say don't want to be Maori in terms of they don't want to look like one, or they don't want to be speaking the language, or they just don't want to.
They might not want to.
They don't want to just be associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is subconscious. It's not like you won't get them saying, "I don't want to be Maori." but you'll get them trying to be everything that's not Maori, and you'll get them thinking that their Maori language is not beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be here like, bro, like first of all, like, I'm never coming at them like, bro, you're dumb for doing that. Never, because I'm like, I went through that, man. It was only a couple of years ago that I'm like, yeah, I'm Nigerian. I should really learn how to speak Igbo. It is cool to be from where I'm from, and it's awesome. Like, so I come at them, I'm like, bro, like, I get it, man. I get where you're at. I just hope that I can at least share some of my story with you, so you can see that embracing where you're from is great. And I understand that in a New Zealand culture, in a New Zealand context, it's more difficult for you. It's easier for me here because, like, we don't have the history with Nigerians there, you know, here that we do. If I was in Nigeria, it'd be different. Yeah. But like here, like I don't have the same history as you, so I understand that it's a path paved with more obstacles for you. But we can, you know, I can still help you navigate that a little bit at least. And at least I can get you to see that, you know, maybe there's a way forward that's not down this path that you're currently going. So yeah, that's something I get involved in. I'd love to get involved in more. Yeah. Because I totally
feel for Maori in some cases where, because you know how there's the media and it always feels like there's negativity surrounding the culture. And I mean, I know some Maoris that are just like, they get annoyed, you know, with the negativity. Yeah. Because obviously it's not like every Maori is bad or going through troubles and stuff, but stuff gets put into this generalization, or all Maoris are like this, or we're like this. I'm like, no, everybody, there's bad people in every culture. There's people that go through hardships in every culture, I feel for a lot of Maori in terms of. I mean, it's
a narrative stereotype that's constructed everywhere. There's been colonialism, like the native people, the indigenous people, the people who were the previously enslaved people, they've got something inherently wrong with them. And the thing is, that's what they say. And the thing is, like, I get into this conversation with a few people who, like, it really confuses me when people are like, oh there's just something wrong with their culture, or something, there's something wrong with blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if there's something wrong with Maori culture, and that's the reason why they're in the social economic situation they're in, can you explain also why Black Americans are in that situation? They have the same social metric. Can you explain why First Nations Canadians are in this? Why Indigenous Americans are in this? Why Indigenous Australians? Can you explain, like, are you going to explain culture? Are you going to say that it's their culture that's the issue? Because when you start to say that it's their culture that's the issue, and you draw these dots, you're saying every single brown culture around the world has a problem, and that's why they are not on the social social economic level that white people are on. When you say that, you're saying, oh, right, okay, so brown culture is inherently worse than white culture. There's a word for that, you know? I don't think I need to say it, but there's a word for that. But this is the kind of attitude. And the thing is, people will, like, not think of themselves as racist because they're not out here saying you Maori this or you Black that or that. They'll think of themselves as exempt from racism because they're not saying that. But at the same time, they're saying, oh, there's probably just something culturally wrong. They're not understanding how that is actually the same thing.
I don't even think it's as simple as that. To make it black and white like that, there's so much shades of grey.
Well, it's so much complex.
More. Yeah, it's very, very, very complex.
It's complex, but if you start, like, my faith, and I mean, a lot of people have different sort of philosophies that they come from, but my faith that I come from, like the Christian faith, says that everyone's made in the image of God, right? So my starting point is you're equal. I don't care. Like, I don't care what situation you're in. You're equal. Your people and my people are equal. We're of equal value. We're of equal worth, right? I'm sure there's, like, no valid objective way to say that these people are less intelligent. We have the same minds. We're all created by God to be his people. So I'm like, that's my starting point. So when I look at the world and see that we're not all on equal footing in terms of power, in terms of wealth, in terms of political influence and all this stuff, I have to ask myself, what happened? What happened? If we are equal, what happened? But, like, so I can't go to the place of saying that, oh, these people are just worse. I can't go there. So I have to, so I'm asking myself, like, what happened? what happened in history that has put us in this situation, and what are the structures that are in place that are enforcing the situation, and how can we start to call those out and tear those down? So in my music, when I talk about when I say things that are anti-racist, when I talk about these political things, that's where it comes from. I'm like, well, we are equal fundamentally. I don't like for me, it comes from Christianity. For other people, it comes from something else. Like if you share the belief that we're fundamentally equal, we have enough in common to have this conversation and to start sort of dismantling the things that are threatening what is an important outlook, us being equal. So yeah.
Deep talk, bro.
yeah.
Well, look, man, I might wrap it up there unless there's anything else you want to cover.
That's all good, man.
No, man. Hey, thanks again for coming through.
No worries, bro.
I think we should finish with you spinning a verse.
Yep. Sure thing, man.
But yeah, so where can everybody check you out? All your social media and everything?
So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's just at Unchained XL, so it's Unchained XL. Spotify, Unchained XL. I'm on SoundCloud. Like you can find all my stuff on there if you don't want to pay for the music that you're listening to.
Support the brother, man. Support the brother.
Yeah. There's nothing too much happening on my SoundCloud, but yeah, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to Apple, all that kind of stuff. Search Unchained XL, you'll see my stuff. Yep.
I just want to thank Unchained XL for coming through again, man. He's about to kill this beat. Seriously, one of the best MCs to ever do it. So just
man.
So the beat's gonna kick in now. Cheers.
Yeah. Legend. Yeah, loops, let's go. Look, when it come to intellectual class, I'm an aristocrat, manufactured with exported homies to Trinidad. A combination of this and that, a puzzle cast like 1,000 follows but 0 pictures on Instagram. I'm compelled to be against the mass, trajectories international, cooking beats with exceptional chitter-chat. Yep, this is rap, I'm steadily spitting facts, killing tracks as easy as Yankee Pro will be killing blacks. And boat stoppers, they can get these hands. We jump through hoops, they get a visa. We globe-trotting immigrants. If you against the grain, I'm celiac. Even though I'm weak from Chaffo, wasn't bred to being herds or being packed. Yeah, I'm seeking asylum in Atlanta goats. With the cookies, Muscle-Kellers, and the Jacksons go. I'll be glad to boast of being half as dope. Breaking you ground and crack a road like a snapper, plastic afro cone. Used to hate my hair, but lips is what they flack the most. Some kids be laughing, they ass of others be passing notes. Now plastic doctors go relaxing boats, owning practice and selling fake African features, collecting cash for those. And I'll be getting cash for shows, but I'm chewing Panadol and jumping like antelope, trying to catch a rope to pull myself over and get all my partners a hand to grow. But in the process, trying to grab the goal. Be bad to bone, smash my goals, open the gates, kick her the keepers out. Anyone trying to be striking and begin the entry, know what I'm speaking about. But I know that no weapon formed against me will keep me down, so I ain't freaking out. Over there, arse knows I'll be a scouse. And you won't see me cracking like a leaky house. Diss me, you get Disney, no Mickey Mouse. I'm playing, violence is not what I be about. But I might just rethink that if you try to bring them two keys out. I'll be without any tolerance for supremacists. And it gets real hard to show your friendlies with the exodus when they say they're your ally, but they is acting a nemesis. You discover that they was that from the genesis. This whole entire industry is where my terrace is. So I jettison fake rappers out of my premises. I dispense curse-less antiseptic sentences to disinfect hip-hop of sex and chemical fetishes. Whoa. Look, I stay clean spitting with it. Characters cross me, I delete them like the Twitter limit. I keep it easy on the mental for the simple critic, so the flow is constant, but the consciousness is intermittent. I'm just trying to collect remittance without penning lyrics about sipping Henny spirits. So my folks can say the Alpha and Omega's in it. Plus, I think I'd rather down a Guinness XL.